Hi, this is Greg Murray, a resident of Crystal Lake Coffvilla Phase 2. I'm also one of the directors of the CLGV2 HOA Board of Directors. Also, I'm the president of Crystal Lake Recreation Board of Directors. What you're about to see is a presentation from our Broward County Sheriff's Office, Deerfield Beach District Chief Captain Adam Hofstein, and Detective Caitlin Nelson, with some tips and stories surrounding some scams that they've had to deal with. They want you to know about these horrific scams being perpetrated on innocent victims like you and me. Afterwards, Deerfield Beach District 3 Commissioner Danield Shanetzky will share details on Tam O'Shanter Park, coming soon to Deerfield Beach. Now, please welcome Deerfield Beach District Chief Captain Adam Hofstein.
And unfortunately, too, this also ties into a lot of organized crime networks. So most of these scams are perpetrated by overseas operators. These are overseas organized criminal groups. They may be using folks locally to help perpetrate this, but they're leveraging the proliferation of technology. This technology makes our lives easier. It makes it better and easier to communicate and to access information, but it also comes with increased vulnerabilities. And these thieves are preying on not only that technological vulnerability that means to connect with you directly, but they're basically exploiting three things. This is just my take on all of this. Is they're exploiting first and foremost fear. Fear of what? Fear of the possibility that I'm wanted, I'm endangered. There's a threat to me, whether it's a threat to my safety or my family's safety. There's some type of legal threat. And we're going to talk about these different types of scams and how they exploit that fear. The second one is greed, right? The greed is the easiest, I see that smile, he knows it. The greed is the easiest one to prevent. Out of all these classifications of this disease, right, the easiest to prevent is the greed. And when I say they prey upon that, it's the old adage, right? If it sounds too good to be true, right, it's not true, right? And that's the bottom line. There's not a winning lotto ticket that someone wants to share with you. That's just a simple, good old-fashioned pigeon drop scam that still happens right here in our community in, say, Publix parking lot. You're approached by that individual, they've got a winning lotto ticket, but hey, especially with all that's going on, they're an illegal immigrant. They can't cash it. They don't want ICE to find out. So they need your help. Okay, well, hold on. Before you take this winning lotto ticket and go into Publix, I need to show a good faith. Before you walk off with my $1 million winning ticket, what are you going to put in the kitty here, if you will? Oh, okay, how about you put in $10,000? I'll hold that, so I know you're coming back with those lotto winnings. Well, what do you do? This happens. This is not hypothetical. I am not exaggerating this. This still goes on. And these are people, your friends, your neighbors. These are intelligent people. Maybe some are a little more vulnerable than others, but these operators, these scamsters or scammers, I call them scamsters, right, are very, very, very good at their art and their craft. Just like a pickpocket, right? It's an emotional pickpocket. And people are doing that. They go to the bank, they take out the $10,000, they give it to the person, they get the lotto ticket, and what happens? Of course, they go to Publix. Publix goes, "This is not a winning lotto ticket, this is fraudulent, this has been altered," and that's it. They go outside, money's gone. That now has evolved into these online scams, these crypto scams you've heard about. It's really simple when it comes to the greed. Don't send anybody money, period. You're not going to get 100% return on your investment. You're not going to get a 2% return on your investment. You're not even going to get your investment back. So greed is the easiest to prevent. We talked about thus far, right? I said fear, greed, and emotion. Right? And emotions tie into the fear. So, and Detective Nelson's going to talk about all these different scenarios. And that's, perpetrated in the most horrible way, where they're targeting vulnerable adults who they know have grandchildren, family members, and they'll actually utilize technology like AI, artificial intelligence, to simulate voices, to simulate actual pictures and videos that they extrapolate from the internet. They'll go to an open Facebook account and they'll take a photo of a family member, of a grandchild, and they'll use artificial intelligence. This is here and now. You've probably seen it yourself. This is real. And they'll create a fake kidnap video, a ransom video with that picture that looks so real, or maybe to the vulnerable adult whose eyesight isn't so great and doesn't understand AI, and they'll believe it. And they'll send these supposed kidnappers, right? These scammers, their life savings out of the emotion and the fear of the well-being of their family members. So this is what we're dealing with. So I just wanted to give you that overview of why this unfortunately continues to proliferate and why it is so difficult for us to combat, because we can't be there in your home. We can't be there when you receive that text message. The only way we can stop this is through prevention. And the only prevention that works is this: education and being informed. And that's why I beg you, I implore you, become the subject matter experts tonight. Dominus Omnis, I'm blessing you. I am making you, I think that was Latin of some type. I am making you, I'm blessing you and making you the subject matter expert. And I'm asking you to carry this message forth. Take this gospel out of this room and educate people. And the most other important defense that we have besides education and awareness is to make sure that we are listening and watching our family members and our friends. Vigilance. Vigilance is key. Listening up for those conversations, those key words, looking for that behavior. What's that you say? That you're talking to somebody overseas who's got you involved in some type of crypto investment? Boom, red flag right there. What's that? Your granddaughter, you say, got arrested for DUI in Georgia and it's really strange? These are all the types of scenarios that we see. I'll share this with you. Family members and friends, very intelligent people, have been duped by scammers. As much as I've even tried to educate them, they're so good at what they do, people still get duped. And I implored my mother and father, call me if you're in doubt. And they call me every other day. Are you sure this one's not real? Are you sure I don't need to go to jury duty? Are you sure the IRS isn't going to kick my door in? Are you sure your sister didn't get arrested for DUI up in Georgia and needs bond money? This really happens. I know people that, I'll share with you, I had a deputy that left the agency and went to Palm Beach, and he called me from Palm Beach. His mom lives up there, and he said, just so you know, my mom got a call from you. And he said it with a chuckle. I said, well, he said, yeah, Captain Hofstein called her and said she needs to pay this money in cryptocurrency or she'd be arrested. Because they just happen to go on the internet, they'll look for a real police official, happened to be me, and that was the name that they used to perpetrate this. So this is what we're dealing with out there. I have other family members who fell for that one. I have to share it with you as a hypothetical. It's not to embarrass them if this ever is released. I won't say what family members. But can you believe what happened to your niece? What do you mean? And she had the nerve to call me for bond money, 2 months ago? Oh, really? Yeah, she got arrested for DUI. I'm like, my niece doesn't even drive. It's not even, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, well, tell me what happened. Well, I gave her a piece of my mind, and I said, call someone else. So she gave the scammers a piece of her mind, which was great, but it's like, you didn't even realize you almost fell victim. You thought you were really talking to her. So I saved my niece's credibility too in this story. And not just 2 months ago, another family member was convinced they were talking to me. They were convinced. I'm sharing this with you. I want to share these personal stories to tell you how real it is. It happens to everybody, including me. This is not hypothetical, that this family member realized after 6 text conversations, maybe it really wasn't me. And maybe it really wasn't me he just sent $200 to. Yes, that happened. And he said, I was going to send more, and I realized something's up. This family member who knows me well was purely, it's kind of embarrassing in a way, right? Because he really thought that I was in a bad situation and suddenly needed money. That was how the text came across. And they'll spoof the number. It looks like my cell phone number. They have all the tools to do this. And that's exactly what happened. He was so convinced that I suddenly was saying, please don't ask me questions. I need your help. I need it now. Please send me money. What did they prey upon? The emotion. Maybe even the fear. Not even so much gullibility. Fear and emotion is a very, very powerful thing to prey on. And so anyway, luckily, again, only sent $200 first, Zelle, and then was going to send more and said, oh, I just realized. At least he realized at that point he's being duped and the damage wasn't too bad. But before I hand the mic over, unfortunately, those are the good stories that, dare I say, have a happy ending or not as bad an ending. We are dealing with cases right here in Deerfield Beach, Detective Nelson can give you an overview about them. We just had a big arrest, fortunately, on a case. But I can tell you that this city is bleeding hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars that we know about that has been reported. I would say millions of dollars of hard-earned life savings and retirement funds, college funds are being bled out through cryptocurrency scams, Zelle scams, gift card scams, all these different types of scams, and especially out of our most vulnerable neighborhoods. So, Detective Nelson, come on up. I think I did my part. And just talk about, if you would, real quick, an overview of some of these different types of scams.
Specifically to Deerfield, because those are the cases that I've handled. Right now, our biggest one, which we can't speak too much about, it's still an ongoing case, is a $3 million case right out of Deerfield. Thank God for the FBI, they're helping out with that case because of the amount of money that it is that has now been lost. There is a chance, though, at getting some money back. It all depends, too, on when you call in and report these cases. The sooner the better. If you are embarrassed, and we do see this very often, we'll get cases weeks later when someone finally decides to come forward because they're embarrassed to say that I was scammed out of money. So this case specifically, like I said, is $3 million. It started as a romance scam. A woman was tricked into believing that there was an astronaut who she fell in love with over the internet through text messages, which we laugh, but it happens every day. You know, especially when COVID happened, people were at home, nobody was in contact with each other in person, so online dating became huge. Facebook dating became a thing that was not a thing before. People are now meeting over the internet, never seeing each other, creating a relationship online, and this person thinks, oh, the pictures and videos that are being sent to me are a real person, which they might be, but it's now a picture or a video that AI had created. So if you're not familiar with how AI is working, we're seeing this often as well with these scams. You can take a picture or a video of someone, literally put it into a chat and say, make me a video of this person saying, I love you so much, I'm in deep trouble right now though, and I really need whatever you can send me for money. It takes a few minutes for that video to be created with that face. The suspect takes it, sends it to the victim, boom, money's in the account. We have a Brad Pitt case that happened. It's always the captain's favorite to talk about. A woman from another country was receiving messages from an account, and she believed that it was Brad Pitt because they were using AI video and photos to put his face on this person's body. So as he was speaking, it was Brad Pitt's face, saying he was in the hospital, he needed money, that he had run out of all his millions of dollars while in the hospital, and that woman also lost out on a lot of money. But our most common trend we're seeing is the investment scams here in Deerfield. So romance scams we see a little bit of, but mostly investment scams right now. So how that works, it'll start with a text message or a message on Facebook, social media platform, sometimes even a phone call, where someone will say, if you give me $5,000, you'll have $20,000 in 3 weeks. I'm gonna invest your money into this account or this kind of investment, and you'll receive triple the amount that you put in 3 weeks. So people will give the $5,000. You may get the first amount, whether it's $20,000, $15,000, and then they're gonna say, okay, now give me another $5,000 and we'll come back quadruple the amount of what you're putting in, and then they disappear. So it's like a tit for tat with money that they're playing. And one way we're seeing that is now locally, people will be told or advised to put cash, pull out a lump sum of cash, put it into a box and put it in the mailbox or out front of their home. So they're locally now coming, picking up that money. And once they're off with cash, there's nothing we can do about it. Wire transfers as well. If a wire transfer happens and it's out of the country, the odds of getting that money back are very slim. So we harp very much on text messages. People are texting like no other now with scams. They'll send you a link, or they'll say, oh, this is so-and-so. I'm sure you guys have received them where it's like, hi, I'm Michelle. How are you? And your first instinct is to text Michelle back and say, who are you? And that's how they get you. As soon as they get conversations with you, they start to call you, they text you, they'll send you a link. Use Zelle. Once it's out of our accounts, that's it. So that's one of the ones that we're seeing locally. Another one that we do see locally is the grandparent scam, where, again, AI is now being utilized even for voiceover. So like my grandmother, she might receive a phone call from what sounds like my voice, but if I have a video online on Instagram or Facebook speaking, someone can screen record my voice, put it into AI and say, hey, use this voice, utilize it saying, Grandma, I'm in jail, I had a DUI, I need $30,000 to get out of jail or they're not gonna let me out. It takes a couple minutes for it to generate and they send it right over to the person over the phone. So my tips for if there's ever a scam that you don't know is a scam, you're like, oh my God, is this actually my granddaughter? Is this my niece? Is this my uncle? Always have a memory that only that person would know and bring it up and see if they know what you're talking about. Question them, be like, oh, do you remember that time that we went to the park and you called me by that nickname? Do you remember what the nickname is? If they don't know it, that's not them. And maybe talk to them in person. I always suggest talking to them in person about it. Have some kind of code word or something that they should know if that's them on the other side of the phone. If they don't know it, it's not them.
Thank you. And to piggyback on that, so just to put in context, you heard the term phishing, right? Just spelled with a PH in this regard. That's exactly what they are. They're criminal fishermen. And there's two kinds of phishing they're doing. Like Detective Nelson touched on with those random texts. There's net fishing, right? That's what they're doing. They're sailing their criminal trawler, right? And they're just throwing that net out to see what they catch. And think about it. If that net encompasses 10,000 people, right? If they get just, and of course it's many more, this net is encompassing millions. But if just 1%, a 0.5% bite, right, or get caught in that net, that's hundreds and thousands of victims. And then there's the line fishing. The line fishing is, I got a victim, I got a target. Not a victim yet, I got a target. Zzz. Trying to get you to grab that bait. And that's when they are targeting you specifically. That's when maybe they've been trolling, right? They've been prowling the internet and they find your first tip of the day, your public Facebook page, lock it. Don't have a public page. Even if you had it set to private, people in general, friends and family can find you. They'll see your profile and your picture and that's it. But if it's not set to private, they'll have access to all your photos and that's what they do. Now they start cannibalizing your page for all that vital information. Oh, look at this post. They learn everything about you. And again, maybe it's going to be the grandparent scam. And remember, I gave you a grandparent scam scenario. It wasn't a grandparent that almost fell for that. So that can happen to anybody. But the fear one, this is one we see often, is they'll go on Google, right? Google Maps. You got a nice picture of your house. They clean it up so it doesn't look like Google Maps. It looks like someone just took it and they send it to you. I'm watching you. Right in front of your house. I know what time you get home. I know when your children get home. And if you don't want anything bad to happen to them, this is terrible. But I'm like, might as well be reading this verbatim from one of these emails. It's scary, isn't it? It's scary to me. And I have lots of guns and, you know, protection, if you will. Doesn't change. We all have those vulnerabilities. We all have fear, right? We all have emotion, right? We all feel that. And when you feel like you're threatened, your family or your most vulnerable place, your homestead is being threatened. So that's what they prey upon, and that's what they do. That happens every day. And we get that call, oh my God, quick, please send the police. Someone's watching my house. Someone's threatening to kidnap me. You know, luckily they called us. Very often, dare I say, maybe 1 out of 3 of these folks don't call the police, because that's what they tell you, don't call the authorities. We will do something horrible to you. And well, they play along. It's almost like emotional lotto. They roll the dice, right? If I'm right, I save my family. If I'm wrong, I just lost a little bit of money, right? This is the psychology of why that happens. Because no one wants to lose money. But if they think there's something much greater at stake, I understand. That's just sadly how nefarious these criminal minds are. Why they're able to continue to successfully prey. But how do you prevent that? If people at least know that's a type of fraud, they understand that's a type of scam, whereas maybe they would not have without hearing this or hearing it from their neighbor or their friend that's here tonight, that just might be enough to click and go, wait a minute, I heard about this. I know this is nonsense. And at least we'll leverage enough common sense in that moment to call us and reach out to us and verify that's indeed a scam. So, you know, on the news, Detective Nelson talked about the romance scam, which yes, and I'm I'm not laughing at that poor woman's vulnerability. Just if you see the photos of Brad Pitt, you can't. It's not really Brad Pitt, you know, the Photoshop or AI version of Brad Pitt. You can't help. They have to put a little humor in everything. But there's an even more insidious one that's also called pig butchering. If you've heard this, these are the different levels, the different degrees they go to. Some of these are quick, get money quick, in and out. And some of these are long-term nefarious plots, which is why they call pig butchering, because it's just like fattening livestock for the kill. And what they do is, again, prey on that emotion. They prey on maybe that gentleman or that lady that's looking for love or looking for a relationship, or just looking for a friend, looking for companionship. Let's add that to the equation. They prey on fear, emotion, greed, and loneliness. And now suddenly you're talking to this wonderful person. You've made this wonderful acquaintance. It doesn't even have to be romantic. It could just be your great new friend that apparently lives overseas. And you notice you have this wonderful month-long relationship. You're talking back and forth, exchanging recipes and places you've been. And you notice, gosh, you don't ever work. You live in a beautiful place. Yeah, I do well on investments. Really? You see where this is going, right? Tell me about your investment. You don't want to know about it. No, I want to know. Well, okay, I invest in cryptocurrency. Oh, you got that beautiful condo in Malaysia? Just invest. You see where this goes. And suddenly they're converting US dollars to cryptocurrency, and it's gone. And cryptocurrency cannot be recovered. It's bye-bye. It's like wiring money off into outer space. So yeah, these are the types of nefarious. And again, why am I giving you all this detail? Because I want to plant as many seeds and flags that might trigger something. Because we say at the sheriff's office, hear something or see something, say something. This might just be enough for you to overhear. You know somebody that's talking to somebody and they've mentioned the crypto investment. Just might be enough for you to save someone or save their life savings. So thank you. I mean, that pretty much runs the gamut. Look, I could stand here and all week and talk about this. But you don't want to hear from me for that long. And it's all at your fingertips, right? Be informed. Be an informed, educated consumer and citizen. That's the best way to protect yourself and protect your loved ones. Research this. Learn more about it. I implore you again, you too become the subject matter expert and help spread the gospel, help protect our fellow friends and families. So,
hi, a few ideas that I've run across here as checking accounts. Check your checking accounts off. You put a check in your mailbox, put that flag up. Somebody comes along, gets a check. There are apps on the phone for the banks. They do a check generating program to get your numbers and information off. And they take a picture of it, and the bank never checks it.
I would suggest that if you can, not to do checks. We do see that a lot too in the Bureau.
Yeah.
People are taking photos of checks where they're able to white out areas of who the check was made out to, as well as the amount. We're getting this actually pretty often coming up close to the holidays. So if you can avoid doing checks at all, I would.
And again, there's a lot of old school folks, right?
Yeah.
And I respect that, but
companies are,
still use paper checks. Yeah.
Old companies that aren't online.
We used to call it check washing. We used to actually wash the physical check.
So, but your checking account and bank account are federally insured, which is good. Crypto is not, although our current president is trying to get it federally insured because he has crypto accounts. If you have to mail a check, mail it inside the post office. If you put it in the post office box, they'll have a catch bag in there, and an outside mailbox, and try to capture some. So I've seen that. It's been a problem. I've had to report it a couple times. Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitter, classmates, as Betty White said, she regarded them as a tremendous waste of time. And yeah, they really are. A phone call with somebody or meeting them in person is much better if you've got a relative. You can also, recommended by ARP, is to turn your phone off once a day, because some people will try to scan it even if you have it in a protective case for that. And that's just some ideas we're throwing out.
It's great tips, and I tell you, leads me to something else that dare I say, the good news about these good old-fashioned types of crimes and scams, check washing, check stealing, credit card fraud, they're reversible. Use credit cards. Credit cards are your friend. So many people, I get it, they're old-fashioned, they like paper checks, they like cash in their pocket. Leverage and use credit cards for what they're good for. They're protected, and that's half of the advantage in addition. Just get to pay the bill later, which works for or against you. But
you can use a case like this, an REI case, to protect your credit card and your key fob. Because they will try.
They can. They can. I'll tell you, luckily that's a very small percentage of what we're seeing, but it's all part of being cautious. Now it's a prevention. But yes, RFID, protected pouches, go a long way. But again, at least worst case, if they do clone that credit card, it's reversible. And you just be vigilant and diligent with your bills, because they're also, look, they're putting skimmers. You heard the term skimmers? So you're at the gas station and you're using the pump. Ostensibly, you're using what you're supposed to be using, but they put a device that superimposes and fits right over it, and it also captures your card information. And you have no idea, they come collect it at a later time. All these things are going on. They're not, believe it or not, it's all a concern to me. We love to catch these bad guys, because it's costing us. Either way, on the front end, it's not costing you, but it's costing us all in the back end with increased fees, right? Insurance costs, annual costs, all the things that to recoup that money the corporations and credit cards build in. So those aren't very serious, but at least they're reversible versus these other types of vulnerabilities we're talking about, especially with the cryptocurrency. And it's true, even if they do regulate it, which they may very well do, so it becomes recognized as an asset, if you will, it still doesn't necessarily afford us the same capabilities of recouping it. So unless you, listen, the bottom line of crypto is don't mess with it unless you know what you're doing. Really, it's something to learn about before you tangle with that and get involved. But these are all very good tips. Another couple things, though, to be aware of in the community. You're right. Cell phone vulnerability, though, is very serious. Cell phone vulnerability, because your whole life, everything that's vital and important to you, that's a portal to it. It may not necessarily be contained on that, but it's a portal. And thieves are looking for ways to penetrate that portal. And one of the ways of doing that is with QR codes. So I do want to make you aware of that. They are maliciously and surreptitiously, if you will, going around, like for example, you go to park your car, and there's a QR code to get on Park Mobile. They're coming at night and they're sticking their own QR code on it. And they've created and replicated a website that looks just like the parking website, and you scan that QR code, and it takes you to this website, and what do? You give your credit card information or any other confidential information, and they have it. Again, luckily, in the end, it's probably going to be reversible, but it's going to cause you some time and suffering, which I don't want you to go through. But be aware of that. So bottom line, unless you know that's a valid QR code, be careful of those. In restaurants, on tables, for menus, they are surreptitiously sticking these in all these various places to try to dupe you into scanning those. So just watch that vulnerability with your cell phone. Don't give them access to get into your personal stuff. I highly recommend locking your credit. Unless you're frequently opening new credit or that affects your business dealings in some way, I do minimally recommend a credit monitoring service that monitors if new accounts are open, unusual activity, anything. That's what I personally have. So I don't actually lock my credit, which is extreme. You could do that, so they can't even open anything. But I at least have a credit monitoring service, so if someone opens an account, you can stay ahead of it. Any other little tidbits here? There's so many things, again, I could come up with them all night long, but if you research this, you're going to find a lot more little nuggets of knowledge that are very, very important and will keep you protected.
Only one thing, if
Sure.
you could, just always have someone in your family
That's also monitoring your accounts. Or if you have a family member who's a little bit older, maybe start paying attention to their accounts, being someone who's also on the account with them, because a lot of times we do find out when it's too late and the money is already gone. So if there was a second eye, keeping an eye out, you'd be surprised. People get lonely. They don't want to tell their family members that maybe they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend online now. And usually that's how those funds go missing, is because there wasn't a second eye to help them out and really be the preventative measure for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, and Sarah, let me go to questions before I finish with some general crime prevention stuff.
Bank managers, do they teach tellers to watch out for this? Do they?
Great question. Yes, they do, but not all of them are good at it or do what they're supposed to do. That's a great question. We've had just that recent case. So the bank tellers did half their job.
Yeah.
They rejected them at 2 banks. Someone was falling victim to this, but they didn't alert authorities. So they didn't allow them to withdraw the money, but they didn't alert authorities. And then the 3rd or 4th bank in the equation, unfortunately, took it hook, line, and sinker. Most of the banks, though, I would say, are doing a good job with their vigilance, Detective Nelson, and they're watching and they're looking for those flags.
And for some people, it might not be odd to be pulling out a large lump sum of cash where the next person it might be. So sometimes tellers just don't catch on to think, oh, that's kind of an odd amount for this person specifically to pull out. They've never pulled out that large of an amount. Where other tellers might know that person very well. They see them all the time where they're only pulling out $50 in cash. And then today they're trying to pull out $50,000 in cash. It may or may not, just that specific teller, kick in to like, this looks kind of suspicious, let me call the police real quick. So, but typically they do.
They should. They're teaching most, and we just hope they're all paying attention when they're being taught and they follow through. But yeah, most of the banks are practicing this. Minimal is part of your job to become a teller. That's minimal training, is to look out for these types of frauds. But again, that's why these insidious frauds that get to you directly in your home, there's no middle person. There could be a bank teller on the other side, but so much of it can be perpetrated right there directly through your cell phone. That's why those are the most, or your internet account, or on your computer, through your email. All those vulnerabilities are what concern me the most. Any other questions, folks? Other than that, I would say the state of the city crime-wise is good. There's just enough to keep us in business, but we're keeping a lid on it. We see some great reductions and some great progress. We have a lot of great resources. First and foremost, the most important is the human element. We've got a fantastic team of deputies and detectives. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't, because they work in all different overt and covert capacities. We also leverage a lot of technology here in Deerfield Beach. Some of it you may see is obvious, some of it's not so obvious, but it's there, doing amazing things. So just like the criminals leverage it, we leverage it to catch the bad guys, and it's been very, very effective in doing so. We have traffic trailers for traffic awareness. You'll be seeing those coming back here to the neighborhood. Time to rotate back onto Green Road here. As I've talked to you folks about before, I don't know if you were here the last time, I'm always very aware of our traffic concerns and safety concerns here. If I have a top 5 locations in Deerfield Beach, Green Road is probably in there, maybe if not number 1. I'd say it's a tie between 10th Street and Green Road for my concerns. And it's not just for safety, it's quality of life. That's important to me. One thing we all are, whether I'm a police officer, you're a civilian, we're all citizens. We all live somewhere, we all have a home, we all live on a roadway, and I'm always aware of that. And I understand it's not just a matter of numbers and speed and traffic crashes, it's the quality of life, and I know Green Road here has some nuances due to the nature of it, that the roadway expanded, and unfortunately, the neighborhood didn't kind of keep up with building the proper right buffers from the roadway. So we're always mindful of that. We'll be bringing the traffic trailer back around. Our folks are always rotating, doing enforcement, and the members of the board know and the commissioner knows, so you can reach me anytime by cell phone or email to address these specific concerns. Otherwise, we remind everybody, please, 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 what are my other big crime tips of the day? Lock those cars, folks. Lock them up and remove that fob. We just had a recent truck theft nearby out of the waterways. Just a great example. Someone inadvertently left the car unlocked and the fob inside. And sometimes that happens because, you know, it's like, hey, honey, where's that other fob? Oh, I haven't seen it. And I go out to the car without anything on me. I get in the car and push the button. It started. Oh, because the fob was down in between the seat. We didn't realize that. So it does happen. It's technology. It gets away from us. But be mindful where your fobs are. Keep the cars locked, because most of these thieves are looking for targets of opportunity. They're looking for an unlocked car, the handle doesn't open, they move on. They also look for telltale signs. A lot of cars these days, you lock it and the mirrors fold. It's a 50-50 chance. The mirrors are folded, they know the car's locked, they're going to move on. But those mirrors aren't folded, they know it's unlocked, they're going to come creeping. So lock them up, take the fobs, and please tell your friends, tell your neighbors. I'm making my mean face here. I got some pet peeves. Let me tell you my pet peeve. Bring those handguns in the house. If I could, I'm not going to kid you, I would criminally charge people for leaving guns in their car, and I've tried to do it, but it doesn't go through. And I think coming with gun ownership comes with great responsibilities. It's not a political statement. This is just a fact of life. And too many guns, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for pocket change. They're not looking for a credit card. They're looking for a gun, whether they're going to sell it or use it. And most of the guns that are used to perpetrate our robberies and our crimes and are getting in the hands of children, I'm not exaggerating this, are stolen out of motor vehicle by careless gun owners who leave them in an unlocked car, in a glove box, under a seat. It's easy to lose track of it, but that's your responsibility. So that's my little rant about that. Share and spread that gospel. So lock up those cars. You know, you can do a lot of little things to make your home safer and be less vulnerable, as much as we try to be everywhere we can't be. And it's not a high crime area by any chance, but any of us that, you know, spin of the roulette wheel could fall upon our house, even where I live. And if they're coming around, make sure you've got good motion lighting. I highly recommend. Make sure you have some type of motion camera system or doorbell camera, because those are really, really great for either deterring criminals or capturing their activity, which is very, very useful to us. And I'm just coming over here, Detective Nelson.
Make sure you're paying the monthly subscription. There's a lot of times we'll have a case where a vehicle is stolen or a firearm is stolen out of the vehicle, but there is no video footage because you're not paying for the subscription. That video is only a live feed. So if you don't pay for the subscription, we're not able to rewind it and see it. So I just wanted to add that in there because we do see that a lot when we're investigating cases.
That's kind of a catch-22. Sometimes there's something to be said for the criminals lurking in the dark, and we get a great night vision overview of their activity, but there's also something to be said for having a motion-activated floodlight, right? And a lot of the doorbell camera companies, I'm not going to name any specific names, I'm not here to pitch a company or a brand, but if you have one that lights up and deters that, that's definitely a good idea to do. Otherwise, we're a safe city, we try to keep it that way, but I implore you, hear something, see something, say something. We gave you all the different ways to contact us, through email, online, non-emergency. Good old-fashioned 911 is there. If you're ever in doubt, err on the side of caution, call 911, let us come check it out. Maybe that isn't just a person, you know, looking around the neighborhood to hand out flyers or a solicitor. Maybe it really is somebody looking to perpetrate a crime. So err on the side of caution. If you see something of concern or something suspicious, let us know about it. Detective Nelson, any other basic crime tips that you wanted to share?
Just the camera he's talking about, the light's called a floodlight.
Yeah, good old-fashioned floodlight, motion operated, but it links. Get the kind that actually links with the camera. It's great. It's becoming much more affordable. So it all ties in. The video activates when the light goes on.
You can do a 9 p.m. lockup, where at 9 p.m. it's your daily routine of, okay, let me make sure all my lights are on out front, my front door is locked, the vehicle is locked, the key fob is not inside, and also not leaving the key fob close to any of the front doors or side doors. I would always make sure the key fob is at least somewhere internally in the middle of your home or away from the vehicles, because sometimes the key fob can be close enough where the vehicle will start, even if it's inside. It's a lot of technology.
Financial advice, dating advice, anything. I got it all. I got it all for you. Whatever you need, besides the boring stuff. Okay, well again, on behalf of Sheriff Dr. Gregory Tony and me as the district captain, I appreciate being here. Again, I did want to comment. You're going to read some stuff in the newspaper. It doesn't matter what the newspaper says. I just want you to know my bond, my relationship, my partnership with this great man right here remains the same. We will work tirelessly to continue to provide the best public safety use. It's a partnership. We're all in it together. We're all partners. But this gentleman and I and this guy, this commissioner cares. Let me tell you. If I'm going to call him out real quick, because even before he's a commissioner, he was a guy, he earned it. Because I go to every city commission. Sometimes it's very painful and very long-winded, but this gentleman came before his commission life, his election life. He was there diligently, every single, that's how I got to know him. I thought it was Daniel. Now I call him commissioner. So this is a gentleman that I tell you, we need more folks like this. He lives here, he has a vested interest, and he cares. And he calls me a lot, and I welcome his calls. A, because I like him, and I consider him a friend, but he calls me with a certain kind of passion. That's wonderful. We all need that in our community. I'm so happy that you have it. I don't even know if I have it in my community, to be honest with you. I couldn't even tell you who my commissioner is. Luckily, I can kind of fend for myself pretty well. But I just want you guys to know that if you didn't know that. And I thank him for helping make sure that I was here and we knew about this. And any of the future meetings are always welcome to be here. I'm sorry, thank you for always welcoming us to be here myself. It's always our pleasure. Detective Nelson, anything you want to conclude with? Or?
It's almost 9 p.m. In an hour, do your lockup. Thank you for having us.
I'm City Commissioner Danield Shanetzky. I want to say Adam Hofstein and his team here in Deerfield Beach, they're fantastic. They're the most professional, wonderful people. They're always there to help out. So thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just a few things going on in the city. I had let Greg know about it. I had a meeting this Monday concerning Tam O'Shanter Park. The city is hiring a consultant for all the parks in Deerfield Beach. They want to do a 15-year master plan, and each district has been meeting with this consultant and the Director of Parks and Recreation, Greg Warner. When I went to the meeting Monday, my concern was Tam O'Shanter Golf Course. It's been abandoned for 20 years. I've taken tours of it. I think it should be made into some sort of public park, so that Crystal Lake, the community, will be able to benefit from it. I mean, right now, it's just a messy, old golf course, but there's so much potential. I really pitched that they could put a bike path in there. I recommended that. Also to do maybe a walkway that people could walk and jog, and maybe even a dog park, a little area for a dog park, and a children's playground. So it was about an hour and a half the meeting, and I kept on bringing that up. Tam O'Shanter, it could be really useful, wonderful for the area, for West Deerfield Beach. There's really no parks in West Deerfield Beach that the city owns. The Quiet Waters is county and state. So I really pitched hard from it. They're going to do a survey. Hopefully by the end of the year, that survey will be complete. And then they'll go back to the City Commission. And then hopefully we can have community meetings about Tam O'Shanter, getting input on that. So just wanted to let you know about that. And they also said that, possibly it could be public and private funded, because I spoke to the mayor and he said it would be very expensive to do something with Tam O'Shanter. I just don't want more development there. I mean, it should be a park. So maybe they could do a referendum, a bond issue, or P3 that's private and public, to do something, make a nice park out of Tam O'Shanter. So I'm really fighting for that as quick as possible. But it's going to be a process. In terms of the Broward Sheriff, as you know, there's a contract negotiation right now. We're in a 2-year transition period because it's October 1. So the city wants to know what the community's thoughts are. Do they want to stay with BSO, police and fire? Do they want to merge with another city? I know Pompano Beach is also doing a study. They may go their own way with police. Or do they want to have their own police and fire department? So they're going to have community meetings, and please, and I'm going to be bothering Greg, please get people out there. The first community meeting will be November 13th at both 11 o'clock and 7 o'clock, 2 meetings. I think Thursday, November 13th, it's going to be at the West Deerfield Beach Community Center at 580 West Power Line. And we need community feedback, so please get the community to come there, because when it comes down for me to vote, I want to do what's best for District 3 and the city. Also on Saturday, November 15th, it's going to be in Deerfield Beach City Hall at 11 o'clock, a community meeting. On Monday, November 17th, at Tigner Center at 11 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So we're giving a lot of meetings for the citizens of Deerfield Beach and Crystal Lake to tell what they want. Do they want to stay with BSO Police and Fire? Do they want their own police and fire department? Do they want to merge with another city? We're going to try to address all the issues so they'll be well informed. Maybe you heard that housing permits. We had a meeting with CGA, Calvin Giordano. They were doing all the housing permits. And there have been some problems. They had a 10-year relationship with Deerfield Beach. And I pushed for CAP Government, which is the other company that was bidding for it, for a 3-year contract. And basically, it was a 3-2 vote, and we picked CAP. What's happening is CGA, which is a bigger company, has filed a protest. So now there's going to be a public meeting on October 16th that the public will be able to see CAP, who wants to get the contract for housing for Deerfield Beach against CGA, who had it for 10 years, and there were a lot of issues and problems. They didn't even go online. We asked them to go online 2019. We're still paper. You get a permit, you have to walk through paper. So now on October 16th, there's going to be a public hearing and an evaluation on that. Now, you know about the Northwest 18th Avenue, the sidewalk. We got a letter from the city saying they're going to go ahead with that project. I met with the city manager today, and I said, this is very important. He said, well, first engineering has to do a study to make sure that they could do it for Northwest 18th sidewalk. Want to make sure there's no utilities, any problems, and I'm going to be on top of that. So I want to make sure that promise is kept. But it's still, you know, the city manager said anything could happen, but I'll be on top of that. Finally, there's a tree canopy program. I told Greg about it, that if you own a house in Crystal Lake or Deerfield Beach, you can apply to get a free tree. So it's called the Tree Canopy Program. Very successful. They're expanding it. They want to get more resources. So if any houses in Crystal Lake would like to get a tree, if there's certain requirements, contact me or contact Greg, and I'll be happy to put them in for it. Again, thank you so much.